Greetings and welcome everyone. Anthony Marsh Jr. on PR, Lost Galaxy 2014. New news for my next Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film, part of Terra podcast, if anyone is going to watch and listen. And this is possibly episode 200 and what number is that? Hold up. Yeah, in case if I get lost, because, I've been busy, wrapped up on doing videos. I know everybody saw my last podcast related to my thoughts on the Ninja Steel synopsis, and then some other videos following words. Give me a sec. Okay, it's episode 218. My bad. Okay. Yeah, let me start this over. This is podcast episode 218 on the Terra podcast show, presented by PR Lost Galaxy 2014's Facebook page, my Instagram, hashtag Anthony Marsh Jr., hashtag PR Lost Galaxy 2014, and my Morphin Megaverse Power Rangers Facebook group. Haven't seen any? Check them out now. Well, I was thinking about this title change, and I thought about, for Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, the blank of Trakeena, I decided to change the film's title. After, 6 years, due to the fact 6 years ago was the name of the fan film, and I figured, well, here's the thing. Many of you who were skeptical of seeing those webisodes that I posted, episode serials preluding to events of the film, I was thinking I needed to change the title. Simply because the Rise of Trakeena was already been done with. But it's just the film wasn't completed all the way. And the problem was, I've already told stories about the fan film lots of times, and I know many people didn't really want to, resonate into it. But I think this title change to Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, the Wrath of Trakeena, should probably resonate my audience once when I make and finish this film. And I figured, well, the Rise of Trakeena was already been beaten to death, and I think resurrecting an old fan film title that was beaten to death, and regardless the fact that I was going nowhere at the time, wasn't going nowhere ever, and I felt, well, there's no point using the title anymore. I think for the remainder of the webisodes that I'm about to post preluding to this newly retitled version of that same fan film will be just remaining for the webisodes. Wrath of Trakeena will be the official title of my second Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film, hence that the Rise of Trakeena was unsuccessful during its production stages, and knowing that it didn't meet its expectations for its release in 2011, 5 years ago. Because over 5 years ago, I opened a YouTube account because for any of you who remembered me on my old YouTube account, you know what it was, Anthony Marsh 1. And if you remember back in my earlier stint on YouTube, back when I wasn't known or publicized or had a huge following, because when I started on YouTube 5 years ago in March, actually this was the exact same month when I began YouTube, but I didn't mainly begin YouTube until March, until March something 20 something of 2011, 5 years ago. And can you believe how far I've came on YouTube? I mean, my old YouTube channel, until I had to shut it down because there was barely anybody following my content, or actually all those superfluous videos I was posting out of random, and then to this point now, 5 years later, on PR Lost Galaxy 2014. But this is the channel's 4th year, and I cannot believe I came this far, came this long, and I really wanted to make things straight and, get my shit together. So with the title change for Power Rangers Lost Galaxy 2, this is where I get my shit together. Because 5 years of trying to get the Rise of Trakeena finished and set for release back on my old YouTube account and channel before I had to shut it down, and of course the many copyrights, notices I've been getting on that channel there too. I felt that it was time that I changed and shaked up things a bit, because because I feel that with the title of the Rise of Trakeena, it was just a thing in the past. I mean, it was something that I could have finished during my final months of high school, and I figured, well, it's time I let go of the Rise of Trakeena, but it will be a remainder title for the fan film webisode serials. And yes, and anyone who's wondering, originally the webisode serials was originally going to have 20 episodes, the same amount of episodes that today's Power Ranger, Samurai, the Dino Charge, and Current has. But I decided to deduce it, to upgrade it down to about 40 episodes worth of episode serials, rounding out the year. And then next year, no webisodes, because then by that time I will still be I'll be filming, and by late 2018 I will be finished filming. 2019 will be trailers and all kinds of things, and then my fan film will be up. Because I've been wanting to do a fan film of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy with Trakeena involved for this entire decade. You can tell from when I wanted to resonate myself into the Power Rangers fandom and community in 2010, and then my stint on Ranger Wiki, because I told you when I started when I was a anonymous user on the Ranger Wiki when it was originally known as the Morphin Grid Power Rangers Super Sentai Wiki at the time. For those who go on the Ranger Wiki, I used to do blogs about this fan film, trying to get a promotion out of it, freelance-wise, because I wasn't doing the movie for money or making it with money, or to make it out of profit, so that way Saban and whoever can shut this film down due to copyright, and because I feel that, whatever the issue is. But at least I'm keeping the fan film in the cheap quality, but still at least retain the serious tone, along with the ever family friendly tone Power Rangers has always obtained during my film. But more likely with this version of the film, it's going to be in a gradual tone akin to, let's say, Avengers Age of Ultron and possibly Captain America Civil War, with the tone that I'm going for. Because I told you before, I don't want to do a Power Rangers fan film that's like The Dark Knight or any other dark, gritty, movie out there, or even like Terminator Salvation, or Terminator Genesis, or the Dread reboot, or the RoboCop reboot, or any of those other dark, gritty reboots that we still have now. And I wanted to change the title to The Wrath of Trakeena because I think, as I looked back on the title design and looked back on how it was going to sound and how I was going to execute the film, with the word Rise being in the title at first, it made me think that I was trying to make this out of an origin film instead of a period piece kind of film where it's set during current times and not prior events. Because when you have a movie that has the the word Rise in its title, it seems like you're trying to make it out of an origin movie, come up with unexplained or unestablished origins of characters, even within Power Rangers, that never had full prior origins prior to when they even encountered the Power Rangers in present tense in their respective season. We know in like Power Rangers in Space and Power Rangers Time Force, we can get origins of Astronema and Rancic, but within Lost Galaxy, we never had much origins on Scorpius and Trakeena. That's why I had to change the title to this fan film to The Wrath, where it's set during the time where Trakeena is at this point giving the Galaxy Power Rangers much hell on Terra Venture, because I want to see what it's like to have Trakeena give so much hell and retribution to the Galaxy Rangers. It ain't going to be funny. And with the title Rise, I felt it sounded very Mary Sue-ish, the way how I was going for it. And it was just, what was the point? I beat that title to death already after 6 years of using it, because it was not working. And my first fan film, well, like I said before in my previous video about it, not my best of efforts, but I should have been proud that I worked on it, put some effort to it. That's why I felt it was condemned to failure. And the whole me thinking it ass raped Lost Galaxy, the way how people in the Power Rangers community remembered it or barely remembered it. So that's why with this film, for the 20th anniversary film, 3 years away from now approaching, I just hope that this will be the best one I've done. And I said back in that video before, until I had to take it down to someone's alarming distress, found out that I brought that person's name up again, that this project was going to be my sense of redemption, and this will be my redemption piece of a film. And due to the fact that even if I was, it's just, I was going through so much harsh stuff for the last 5 years, so that's why I had to move on from the Rise of Trakeena and call it the Wrath of Trakeena, because the title that I was going for at first, again, was just not good. It was not good at all. Despite the title change, it will still have the exact same premise as when the film was originally still entitled The Rise of Trakeena as a fan film remake, but this is going to be the finalized title. Rise was supposed to be what it was supposed to be, but Wrath is going to be more retribution worthy, where Trakeena gives the Galaxy Power Rangers, actually my Lost Galaxy Rangers of the Martiverse, despite that this is Power Rangers Lost Galaxy in a parallel continuity being ran and authorized, or actually don't say that term, but more like reestablished by me in terms of fan fiction. If this is Power Rangers Lost Galaxy in an alternative reality, where Trakeena is this evil monarch, well, without the whole establishing of bringing up Scorpius a bunch, but we know Scorpius was an evil monarch of the Scorpion Stinger in the earlier episodes. We know Scorpius wasn't all that great as a villain, and I hate to say this even for the sake of the latter character whose father was such named of. I feel that I don't think I even want to bring up Scorpius in this film. I mean, sure, yeah, I brought him in the cliffhanger in the end of the first movie in the post-credit scene, but Scorpius will not be in this. Well, possibly in this movie, maybe so and so, who knows? But I've been thinking about it, and I was really pushing on wanting to bring Scorpius in, or whoever. This movie is only going to focus on one villain, and that's her. But Villamax and Kegler will be in this movie, but they won't have much to fare in terms of screen time. It's just going to be focused on Trakeena and my Lost Galaxy Power Rangers of my fanfiction, universe and timeline. And I know most people are thinking, shouldn't this be in the time frame as the Lost Galaxy we all know and remember, or it should be its own thing? It was debatable with the first movie when I was so confused whether if I should have it in the timeline as the TV series but with a different villain or what, because again, back then it was so damn jarring what to do with the first one. I mean, I couldn't know if I wanted to have Villamax as the first villain in the first movie, or Trecheron as the first villain for the first movie, or Furio again, or Scorpius. There's just too much stuff to do in terms of my readaptation of Lost Galaxy for a fan film series of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan films. And also the whole intentions of taking incorporated elements unused from Ginga Man versus Mega Ranger that Lost Galaxy didn't bother because, well, the to the 10th power is already a better team up between the Space and Galaxy Rangers enough, so there's no point inheriting the Ginga Man versus Mega Ranger elements. But I did have intentions on, but there is now an intention where I have to use Captain Gregory from Ginga Man versus Mega Ranger at some point in this film, but you just wait and see where. And hence, that even though, the Lord Metarex stuff sucked, and knowing that, like I said before, I ripped off Darth Malgus from Star Wars, the Old Republic video game. So there was, at some point, I don't know why I ripped off Malgus's design for Metarex and could have came up with something more original, or I could have used an unused Sentai boss villain's outfit, like, I don't know, the main villain's design from Kyryuger that's probably later already reincorporated into Power Rangers Dino Charge, Dino Supercharge, or something like that. I don't know, whatever would have benefited it worked for the best. But there were some possibilities during the first movie's production, and I know I had some really stressful time working on the first one, standalone reboot. Regardless, Rise of Trakeena was having buttloads of problems during its production, and why I canceled it and such. And then I have to cancel it again, this time by changing the name of the film, is what I just did. because I didn't really want to keep carrying on and on for another 3 years of this decade until the 2010s is over, and go ahead and just keep bringing up the rise of Trakeena, keep reflecting back from way back when, which keeps prolonging myself. I felt like with the title Power Rangers Lost Galaxy: The Rise of Trakeena, I felt like I was so frozen in time with that title of the fan film, because you can tell that with that title I was so frozen in time, I had a hard time moving on. So with the film being retitled The Wrath of Trakeena, now it is time for me to move on from what I did long before, because I got sick and tired of being so frozen in time with the title, and also my original intentions with the film following hence further rewrite after rewrite after rewrite, and that's what I did. But however, yes, and then also, of course, the film will still have the tagline, "She rises, they fall." So it's going to be like partial of a Wrath and Rise type movie, but the title has the word Wrath mostly, cemented to the title of the film. It's something, really. And for a standing ovation. So here's something I just didn't get. We know the main term for rise is move from the lower position to the higher one. But actually, I don't know why I came up with the title of The Rise of Trakeena when knowing in the actual Power Rangers Lost Galaxy season itself, Trakeena had already made up to the rising rank of her power from being, her lowest position being daddy's little girl of the Scorpion Stinger to the higher point where she was trained as a fierce warrior. So for some reason, my fan film, when it was in that title, it was more like a Mary Sue storyline of Trakeena, which I figured that's why a lot of people felt was just not totally her character's her character's original canon. That's why I'm changing the title to The Wrath, where it's. Let me look up a verb for wrath on the internet to get an actual meaning from it. Extreme anger. So yes, this is going to be a more, story of Trakeena having so much rage and anger and fury against the Galaxy Rangers, and especially having them feeling the wrath of her, where she goes around, hurting people of Terra Venture, and and even possibly steal candy and stuff from little kids, causing them to cry, and then making soccer moms want to cuss her out, and then she goes around hurting soccer moms and that violent stuff. Now again, I'm not going to go all like that Power/Ranger short film with its dark, gritty, bloody territory. I'm just doing my own thing, how I can express Trakeena and her rage and anger against the Rangers, and I really want to see that based on the title, because if wrath means if you have someone wanting to express so much rage and anger against something, a force or anything, organization or an individual, this is the story I'm going to tell. Because Rise was more supposed to be about her coming from that low position she was like in the show, in my take of it, to a higher position. But now I changed it to The Wrath of Trakeena once again, where she just has so much resentment and wants to bring in to Terra Venture and the Galaxy Power Rangers lots of violent retribution, wanting revenge. And I would say that this fan film can make a way better Trakeena's revenge than the one from Lightspeed Rescue. Well, the reason why from its behind the scenes tenure in Lightspeed Rescue. So there you go. And I hope this retitled version of the fan film does way better, and I hope this should be my best effort. But don't keep your hopes up too high when I release it, because sure, it's going to be in the same production medium as the previous film, and as well as the and also let's also consider The Rise of Trakeena as my outdoor pilot of the fan film, and as a test to what I was going to do for a fan film of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy when I had a hard time over back 6 years ago wanting to make a name for myself within the Power Rangers community. Hence that even though prior to the joining of the internet being part of Power Ranger, the Power Ranger fandom, on the internet, like on Ranger Board and stuff, YouTube and Facebook, where I can go ahead and express how I feel and my passion and love for the show and its overall franchise. And that's why with these fan films, I'm doing it. And of course, I'm going to continue doing this film, but of course, it's going to follow in a new title without the word rise to the title, because I feel, like I said before earlier again, the title, The Rise of Trakeena, has been beaten to death already. So that's why it's not going to be in that title anymore. That's all I got to say for only 20 minutes of your time. And what do you guys feel about the title change? Do you think it was a right step to the direction for me, or it should have delivered more to the title? But anyway, whatever works. Let me know in the let me know in the time being in the comments for anyone who's going to hear. And I feel that The Wrath of Trakeena is a better title than The Rise, because I feel that it just didn't sound right, because when I originally did the film by that original moniker title, I totally did rip off the first live action G.I. Joe movie, The Rise of Cobra. And boy, did I rip that film off over 5 years ago big time. But at least that's a good thing I didn't release The Rise of Trakeena, because I felt I totally ripped off the G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra movie, when Rise of Cobra, to be honest, for real sucked. So anyway, let me know. Anyway, let me get off. Let me hear some comments and such. What you think of the title change? Are you going to be excited to see this film when I release it, or who knows? But again, let me know. And thank you for your cooperation and auditory pleasure watching this podcast. Anthony Marsh Jr. on PR, Lost Galaxy 2014, signing off.